If you're passionate about survival history and ingenious engineering, you need to subscribe to Legacy of Survival right now, because today we're uncovering a Viking innovation so brilliant it has lasted over a millennium, without modern tools or technology. The story isn't just about stone and wood, it's about a design mindset that can teach anyone how to live in harmony with extreme environments. By the end of this guide, you'll understand the principles of the Viking wall, why it worked, and even how you can adapt these techniques in modern survival or homesteading projects. Vikings weren't just raiders, they were engineers who conquered wind and weather. When we think of Vikings, most images that come to mind are longships, axes and helmets. What we rarely appreciate is their mastery of architecture, especially in coastal and northern climates, where relentless wind and rain could destroy ordinary walls within years. Archaeological studies in Norway and Iceland reveal Viking settlements where walls have stood virtually intact for 1,000 years. The secret wasn't magic. It was an advanced understanding of aerodynamics, material properties, and modular construction. The wall design often used interlocking timber beams, packed earth, and stone foundations. But more importantly, the Vikings oriented their walls at precise angles against prevailing winds. Instead of presenting a flat surface to storm gusts, their walls allowed wind to flow over and around the structure, drastically reducing pressure. This approach is remarkably similar to modern aerodynamic principles, yet it was accomplished entirely through observation and experimentation. The wall design taught them to work with nature, not against it. The Vikings understood that the environment is not an enemy, it's a partner. By staggering wall posts and inserting angled braces, they created a structure that flexed slightly under pressure but never collapsed. For anyone building a shelter or even a simple garden fence today, the lesson is clear. Rigidity can be weakness. Flexible support structures, when paired with solid foundations, can dramatically extend the lifespan of any wall. One practical example, is using angled beams for a survival shelter. Instead of nailing every post straight up, placing braces at a 15 to 20 degree angle can absorb gusts of wind in the same way the Vikings did. Even simple stone retaining walls can benefit from this principle. Staggered stones and inward-leaning layers resist outward pressure far better than a flat stack. Another genius aspect of Viking walls was their modular construction. Each section of the wall could be replaced independently, which was crucial in regions where winter storms frequently damaged structures. This modularity meant that maintenance didn't require tearing down the entire wall. One could simply replace a few beams or a section of turf. For modern applications, think about garden walls, compost enclosures, or even DIY cabins. Designing with replaceable components ensures longevity. If you're setting up a temporary or semi-permanent survival camp, following this principle allows for quick repairs after storms without specialized tools. Cut your timber or stone to uniform sizes so that a single replacement piece fits seamlessly. This is exactly what the Vikings did, long before standardized lumber existed. Vikings didn't just pick any timber or stone. They selected local resources that were best suited to withstand moisture, wind, and those harsh freezing temperatures. Pine, oak and driftwood were either treated or naturally chosen for their resilience, which is pretty clever if you think about it. When it came to rocks, they often looked for flat surfaces that could interlock tightly, creating enough friction to eliminate the need for mortar altogether. Orientation mattered just as much as material, honestly. Archaeologists have noticed that Viking walls frequently ran perpendicular to the prevailing winds along the coast, while inland walls often angled just slightly to direct wind and snow over the top, rather than straight against the side. In survival terms, this really means that when you build a structure, taking a bit of time to observe wind patterns and adjust your orientation can dramatically improve durability, all without adding extra weight or cost. Perhaps the most overlooked lesson is the Viking approach itself. Careful observation, incremental improvements, and respect for environmental forces. Modern builders often rely on technology to solve problems that the Vikings solved with human ingenuity and patience. For survivalists, this is an essential mindset. Take the time to study your surroundings, test angles, materials, and layout. A simple lean-to, built with these principles, can survive months of harsh weather, far longer than one constructed hastily. You don't need to be a professional carpenter to put these ideas into practice. Start by building small walls or windbreaks around gardens, compost areas, or animal pens. Use locally sourced timber, lean posts slightly into prevailing winds, and stagger stones or earth for flexible strength. If storms damage a section, replace only that part. Over time, you'll develop an intuitive understanding of natural forces, just like the Vikings did. Even in urban survival scenarios, portable barriers designed with angles and modularity can redirect wind, snow, or debris efficiently, making your shelter safer and longer lasting. The genius of the Viking wall lies not in exotic materials or secret formulas, but in principles that any survivalist or historian can observe, replicate, and adapt today. By combining modular design, strategic orientation, and material intelligence, Vikings created walls that outsmarted the environment. And you can too. Remember, this knowledge is not just historical trivia, it's practical survival wisdom. If you found this guide valuable, subscribe to Legacy of Survival and share it with fellow history enthusiasts and survivalists. The next time you're designing a shelter or a durable outdoor structure, let the Vikings' lessons guide your hands.